AITA for refusing to co-sign my sister's mortgage after my parents went behind my back? I, 28F, have been working tirelessly for years to save for a house of my own. I work in software, which pays well, but the road to homeownership is still long. Between high property prices and rising costs of living, it's been a grind to build up a solid down payment. Meanwhile, my younger sister, 25F, is still in grad school, juggling student debt and with barely any credit to her name. Despite this, my parents decided she needs a house. What happened next left me shocked, furious, and questioning my role in my family. Out of the blue, my parents called me with exciting news. They'd found the perfect house near them and made an offer on it, for my sister. At first, I was happy for her. I thought they were just sharing good news. Then they hit me with the real reason for the call: the deal could only go through if I co-signed the mortgage. Apparently, my sister's lack of credit and income made her ineligible for the loan on her own. My parents decided I was the logical choice to step in because, according to them, I have the best credit score in the family. But that wasn't all. They didn't just want me to co-sign. They also hinted, heavily, that I should chip in for the down payment since I have the money. Never mind that I've been saving for my own house for years. This wasn't a polite request. It felt more like an ambush. The way they framed it, my role wasn't just to help, it was to make their vision happen, no questions asked. I didn't even have time to process their demand before the guilt-tripping began. My mom launched into a monologue about family values and how selfish I was being. My dad chimed in, saying that as the older sister, it was my duty to help my sibling. My sister? She called me a monster for leaving her stranded. The cherry on top? My mom threatened to cut off any future financial help, like wedding contributions, if I didn't step up. Here's the thing, co-signing a mortgage isn't just a favor. It's a massive financial commitment. If my sister can't pay, and let's face it, she's still in school with no steady income, it would fall on me. That could wreck my credit and jeopardize my chances of getting my own mortgage. I tried explaining this calmly, but they dismissed my concerns as excuses. The entire situation felt wrong. My parents had made this huge decision without consulting me. They assumed I'd agree, no matter the consequences. It felt less like they were asking for help and more like they were demanding a sacrifice of my financial future for their convenience. If this was an isolated incident, maybe I'd feel differently. But it's not. I'm adopted, something my parents don't bring up often but subtly impacts everything. My parents adopted me when I was very young after years of struggling to conceive. A few years later, they had my sister naturally, which was a dream come true for them. She was their miracle baby, the child they'd prayed for. Growing up, I always felt the difference. I was expected to be the responsible one, the one who looked out for my sister, made sacrifices, and held everything together. My sister, on the other hand, could do no wrong. If she forgot her homework, I'd be scolded for not reminding her. If she made a mess, I'd be the one cleaning it up. When I excelled in school, it wasn't celebrated so much as expected. I worked hard, got scholarships, and eventually landed a good job in software. My parents were proud, sure, but mostly they saw my success as a safety net for them and my sister. Now that I'm financially stable, it feels like they see me less as a person with dreams and more as their fallback plan. This situation has been a wake-up call. The more I've built my own life, saving for a house, focusing on my career, the clearer it's become that my family doesn't respect my independence. They see my success as something to leverage, not celebrate. When I told them I wouldn't co-sign, the backlash was brutal. My mom accused me of abandoning the family. My sister cried, saying I was ruining her future. Even some relatives chimed in, calling me selfish. Others, thankfully, told me my parents were out of line. Still, the guilt weighs on me. I love my family, but I can't keep sacrificing my own future to maintain a dynamic where I'm always the one expected to give. I've decided to stand my ground. My parents' decision to buy a house for my sister without consulting me wasn't just unfair, it was manipulative. They put me in an impossible position, expecting me to fix a problem they created. I'm done being their safety net. Standing my ground wasn't easy. My family didn't back down without a fight. My mom called every day, alternating between guilt trips and outright anger. One minute, she was sobbing about how I was tearing the family apart, and the next, she'd launch into accusations of ingratitude, reminding me how they'd given me everything by adopting me. My dad tried a different angle, playing the calm and logical one, but his arguments boiled down to the same thing: family helps family. This is what you owe us. My sister, unsurprisingly, wasn't much better. She flooded me with texts accusing me of ruining her life. At one point, she even hinted she'd have to drop out of grad school because she couldn't do both, as if that were my fault. I wanted to tell her that taking on a mortgage while still in school was a terrible idea to begin with, but I knew it wouldn't make a difference. The house wasn't about practicality for her, it was a dream my parents had decided to make real, and I was the one standing in their way. The more they pushed, the more I realized how much I'd been enabling this dynamic for years. I'd always been the fixer in the family, the one who stepped in to smooth things over when things went wrong. Saying no felt like pulling the rug out from under them, but it also felt liberating. For the first time, I wasn't bending over backward to meet their expectations. I told my parents in no uncertain terms that I wasn't co-signing. I explained the risks, how it could ruin my credit, delay my ability to buy a house, and leave me on the hook if my sister defaulted. But the truth is, I didn't need to justify my decision. The bottom line was simple: I wasn't willing to sacrifice my financial future for a decision they made without consulting me. I also made it clear that this wasn't up for debate. I told them I wouldn't entertain any more discussions about the house, and if they continued to harass me, I'd have to limit contact. It was a tough conversation, but it needed to happen. As expected, the fallout was messy. My mom stopped calling for a while, giving me the silent treatment. When she did reach out again, it was with thinly veiled resentment. She mentioned how they'd have to rethink some things, including financial contributions to my future wedding, something I never even asked for. My sister took it even harder. She told anyone who would listen that I'd abandoned her. Some of our extended family reached out, trying to guilt me into reconsidering. A few even sided with me, saying it was absurd for my parents to put me in this position. But the majority saw it as a family issue I should just suck up and deal with. For the first time in my life, though, I didn't care about their opinions. I'd spent years putting everyone else's needs before my own. This time, I was choosing myself. In the weeks since, I've started feeling a sense of relief I didn't expect. It's like a weight has been lifted. For too long, I let my family's expectations dictate my life. Saying no to them, and sticking to it, has been a powerful reminder that I have control over my future. I've been focusing on my own goals again. I'm still saving for my house, and now I'm even more determined to make it happen. It's not just about owning property, it's about building something for myself, on my own terms. I've also started seeing a therapist to work through some of the lingering guilt and resentment. Growing up as the responsible one in a family dynamic like mine has left scars I didn't fully recognize before. Therapy is helping me unpack those feelings and learn to set healthier boundaries moving forward. This experience has taught me a lot about the importance of boundaries and self-respect. Love doesn't mean sacrificing your own well-being to keep the peace. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do, for yourself and others, is to say no. I still love my family, but I'm realizing that love doesn't mean I have to be their safety net. They made their decision about the house without me, and they'll have to deal with the consequences. I hope one day they'll understand why I made the choice I did, but even if they don't, I'm at peace with it. For anyone else out there struggling with similar family pressures, let me say this: it's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to say no, even when it's hard. You don't owe anyone your future, not even the people you love.